Podcast. We are your hosts, Tony and Dak. And in today's episode, we are kicking off our off-season previews. If you missed last episode, we will be going through the first 6 picks of the NFL draft over these next 6 weeks, giving a deeper dive into what these teams' off-seasons could look like, who they should target, who they should re-sign, who they should draft, all that fun stuff. Kicking us off, we have the Las Vegas Raiders. With our first and 10, we'll be diving into who their star players are, all that fun stuff. So, obviously, we have Ashton Jeanty, number 6 overall pick last year. Brock Bowers on the offensive side, tight end. And for the defensive side, we have Max Crosby. Outside of that, the Raiders have a lot of question marks. They have a lot of players with a lot of potential, whether it be Trey Tucker, Jack Besh, Caleb Rogers, all those guys. Jackson Powers Johnson, a lot of people with question marks that the Raiders would like to have answered by the end of the season. But until we get to that point, we have to get into the offseason. Now let's get into what I have been working on with this year's offseason. This is going to be our our focus series. Meat and potatoes of the offseason outside of our mock drafts. In this series, we'll be going through all the fun stuff for the teams. This will be the first one, so a lot of stuff will change as we go on this offseason. Well, without further ado, let's get into the Las Vegas Raiders. Kicking us off, we have the front office, coaching staff. Who do the Raiders have? They just brought in, once again, a new head coach, Klint Kubiak, who just came off of a Super Bowl win with the Seahawks. He was their offensive coordinator, formerly the Saints offensive coordinator for 2 seasons. Led one of the most electric offenses for the first 2 weeks of a season with Derek Carr a couple seasons ago.
He's going to hold that to his grave, guys.
And
just want everyone to know that.
Yeah, they dropped 40 2 weeks in a row. And since then, Klint Kubiak has stayed a consistent offensive mind and loves to run the football. And luckily, the Raiders have a good offensive running back. Andrew Janocko, I don't know much about him, but I do know that he has been working with Klint Kubiak, which is a plus because that means he understands his offense and knows what he's doing in terms of what he expects with his offense. And then Rob Leonard, the defensive coordinator for the Raiders, was promoted from defensive line coach. A lot of people were speculating that he was promoted because of his relationship with Max Crosby. Those two are buddies apparently, but he is widely respected across the league as a defensive coach and has worked with a lot of the best defensive minds in the league, whether it be Patrick Graham, Brian Flores. I believe I'm missing somebody else as well. But my favorite thing about this coaching staff is the youth in it. Going from Pete Carroll and Chip Kelly to a bunch of 30-somethings is a really, really, really bright spot for me as a Raiders fan, just because it means that not only is our front office giving the coaching staff an opportunity to grow and learn on the job, but it gives us hope that they're actually not going to stick with them for more than 2 seasons as well. Dak, do you have any opinions on this coaching staff?
I think having Spytek and Brady kind of just like, hey, they're getting the hands on everything. And I think, everyone knows it by now. We'll get to it by later. But Fernando Mendoza is 1-1. He's round 1, pick number 1. And being with, Fernando being with Eli, being with Peyton, being with now Brady's going to be kind of a mentor. And he said he'd really appreciate that type of mentor, type of guy he's going to have around him. I'm excited because I think this coaching staff can do something with all of these guys. And I guess I'm excited because you're excited. So I'm interested to see what they can really do from out of the mud standpoint with this coaching staff.
Yeah, and this isn't going to be the same scenario as last year where I bought into the hopium. I understand. I expect the Raiders to not be that great this year, but I expect them to be a fun, scrappy team like the Saints were. Now you gotta give me some slack here, but. Anyways, let's get past the coaching staff and get into the team. Some notable unrestricted free agents for the Raiders, according to Spotrac. Devin White, Jamal Adams, Eric Stokes, Malcolm Kuntz, Daniel Carlson, and Zamir White are all unrestricted free agents. Out of this list, I only expect Eric Stokes and Daniel Carlson to be coming back. Maybe Malcolm Kuntz if he'll take a small contract, but I don't anticipate that. Devin White was not good. I don't care about how many tackles he had. He sucked in coverage. That's coming from somebody who Devin White was my draft crush of that year, 2020, I believe. I wanted Devin White to be a Raider so bad, and instead we took Cleveland Ferrell. Jamal Adams was solid in the box from what I remember. He came in for very special packages, so it's not like he was a always on the field kind of guy.
Not the
But
Jamal Adams we've had.
yeah. Eric Stokes, on the other hand, was phenomenal as a corner. He was the only good corner on our team because he was the only one that was constantly on the field. Darian Porter was given few chances. I have high expectations for him for the secondary as well. I don't expect Kayub Kelly back this year either. So this secondary is due for a big facelift, and I hope that Eric Stokes stick around because he's not that old either. Do a quick Google search how old he is real quick. Because he's what?
Is he 26?
I don't know. I'll tell you in a second. He's 27, so he's still on pace to be. He could still be around when the Raiders eventually flip this in a season or two. It's not like he's going to be on the outside looking in, like somebody we'll be talking about later in this episode. Daniel Carlson also, I don't want to give up on him. He had a rough last season, but our special teams coordinator sucked. Our special teams was probably the worst in the league outside of maybe the Rams. Daniel Carlson's had a rough year. It's fine. He'll bounce back. He's still a good kicker, and it's not worth going and trying to put out a bunch of waivers for a new kicker that clearly the NFL is hurting for constantly. Getting into the free agent targets. Oh, no, cut candidates. Sorry. Geno Smith.
There's a big one there.
Yeah, Geno Smith. He's just a preface. I don't understand how all these numbers work entirely, but I know that the Raiders save money, but at the same time, it doesn't really matter because the NFL just got a $25 million boost per each team.
Uh-huh.
So they'll be saving money or they won't. It doesn't really matter. They have $100 million in cap. Cut him. Get him out of here. He's not good for the team. I expect the Raiders to have a veteran quarterback on this roster, but I don't want it to be Geno Smith because of how he reacted at the end of the season. And with Raider Nation, we also do not like him because he flipped us off at the end of the last season. He went and gave some fans the bird.
Give Jimmy G a chance.
Yeah, get out of here. Don't talk to me. You lost it. You lost your talking privileges. Next, free agency. Who are the Raiders' needs? Who are their targets? Needs, offensive line, wide receiver, and defense. I loosely say offensive line because I am a lot higher on this Raiders offensive line than others. I think a lot of their struggles, I think a lot of their struggles last year was from the offensive coaching, especially from their offensive line coach, Brendan Carroll, Pete Carroll's son. I don't think he was suited for that job, and I think he did too much jumbling around. There was no cohesion with that offensive staff at all, and with that, you have the offensive line looking like a bunch of bumbling idiots. Jackson Powers Johnson's a good player. Colton Miller's a good player. I do see new players coming in. I don't know if DJ Glaze will be back. I hope Jordan Meredith is not back, at least at center. There's plenty of good centers. Well, I don't want to say plenty. There's Tyler Linderbaum, who's the belle of the ball when it comes to offensive line. But he's projected literally every team that needs a center. And I don't want to be boring. So let's get to the targets of this Raiders team. Rashid Shaheed, he has experience with Clint Kubiak. He's been with him in the last two of Clint Kubiak spots, both the Saints and the Seahawks. He's a good deep target. But that being said, they also have Trey Tucker. So I don't know if that would be a true fit or if that's just somebody who could help coach them up and get him right within the scheme. Joseph Osai with the edge rusher. Max Crosby's never really had an outside running mate. Tyree Wilson hasn't really panned out.
Maybe with them moving to a 3-4 defense, that could change. Maybe that's the right fit for Tyree. Cleveland Furl wasn't that guy either. So it'll be interesting. Outside of Caleb Chason and some rotational guys, they've never really had his running mate. Devin Bush is a solid linebacker. The Raiders need a linebacker in a bad way, especially with going to a 3-4 defense. They don't have a quality linebacker on the roster right now. Tariq Woolen, he's from the Seahawks. He's a solid corner who could be in need of a new home because of just how everything has panned out. And Kobe Bryant, also from the Seahawks, safety.
Enough money to throw around there from Seattle.
Yeah, then the Raiders
Especially
have
with
plenty.
a new contract.
Yeah.
New contract with JSN.
And
that's
Sam
possibly
Darnold
coming.
looking to probably get a new contract as well. One target that I did not have on here is Romeo Dobbs. He is likely to be a free agent, so he could be somebody that the Raiders bring in as well. Any free agent targets or needs that you think I forgot to mention, which I'd be surprised because it's my team.
I wouldn't be surprised if a guy like Aaron Jones ends up coming over there just to be a backup
Yeah, they did. They
to
have
Ashton
mentioned.
Jeanty.
They have mentioned that.
Because he could possibly I believe he's getting cut from the Vikings. You bring in a guy that's gonna open up your pass game up a little bit, and you 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 help Ashton Jeanty learn from a guy that's played in two systems that love to run the football.
Mm-hmm.
And you bring a pass catcher to that, and you just kind of protect Ashton Jeanty from not getting hurt all the time.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good free agent option that I could see down the road.
Yeah, the coaching staff has mentioned that they would like to bring in a number 2, just to keep Ashton Jeanty from getting murdered. Probably more like a Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier situation than a Zach Charbonnet, Kenneth Walker situation. Our next slide: trade candidates and trade targets. This is where we get interesting with this offseason preview for the Raiders.
Max Crosby will be a Niner.
Max Crosby is the trade candidate for the Raiders. They don't have enough players to bring in interest. Max Crosby has been vocal about his disinterest and distaste for how the Raiders last season went and how they shut him down, all that fun stuff. That being said, I could see him still being a Raider. I wouldn't be upset about it. But with all that being said, I would like to see Max Crosby happy. And I don't see him being effective by the time the Raiders are good again. That's probably going to be 2 or 3 seasons. And Max Crosby is, pushing 28, if I'm not mistaken. And he's had a couple of surgeries already. Yeah, he's 28 already. He's had a couple of surgeries already on his knee, and he's just always wants to be on the field, which is not a way that you can survive and play long term, which is what the Raiders need.
You know what would be a Las Vegas Raiders type of deal?
Hmm.
The Raiders trade, they trade Max Crosby to the Niners for the 27th pick, Brandon Ayuk, and a 4th and 5th round pick.
That's honestly probably one of the better trades that I've seen or heard about. Because some Bears fans want him to be a Bear, obviously, and expect him to be a 26 first and DJ Moore, and that's it. Crazy. One of the trade targets for the Raiders and somebody who they've already mentioned being interested in is Tremaine Edmonds, who is a Bear, who is a solid linebacker. As I mentioned, the Raiders need a linebacker in a big way. And I will be getting to that as we approach the draft. Getting to the draft, I did multiple 3-round mock drafts for the Raiders, as well as the other teams that we'll be doing. Fernando Mendoza, 1-1 is going to happen.
It's 1-1.
Yeah. The other 2 picks I tried to keep as an open book. Up until this week, Dylan Thieneman was an option in the 2nd round. I don't anticipate him being available. I would really, really like him to be, but I don't anticipate that. Lee Hunter is also an option. He might not make it out of the 1st round, but if he is, the Raiders need a nose tackle, and he'd be an awesome pick. As for linebacker in the 3rd round, Jacob Rodriguez.
I love that pick right there.
Jacob Rodriguez is so. Every year I have a draft crush. As I mentioned, Devin White was a couple years ago. After him was I don't remember his name. He got drafted by the Cardinals. He was the safety turned linebacker, played for the Giants. Wasn't very successful.
Saving Collins?
No, not him. He was the safety turned linebacker. Athletic freak. Oh man, what was it? The 2022 draft?
You talking about the guy from Clemson?
I don't remember where he was from. Allow me to
I
take a
love an
quick
Omar
detour
Cooper
here.
there, at the second round, just to pair him with that and bring in some receiver help. But Jacob Rodriguez, is a baller. He knows football. I believe he's a 6-year guy, um, at Texas Tech. So got a lot of football knowledge in there. I listened
Isaiah
to Chris
Simmons.
Ballard talk.
Isaiah
Oh, okay,
Simmons is who I wanted. Yeah,
Clemson guy.
yeah.
Um, and so a 6-year guy. Listen to Chris Ballard talk about his process. He loves guys that have played more football because they're going to learn and grow. If you don't come out early and you play a long time, that's becoming the spotlight for
Mhm.
NFL players. Um, so a guy like Jacob Rodriguez, I believe. But to your point, I've had a lot of draft crushes that just have not panned out to
Jacob
come to the
Rodriguez,
Raiders.
I expect. No, oh, hold on. Trayvon Merrick was also my draft crush, and that man was good at football, and he still is. And he was a Raider. I was very happy about that. We only got one of my draft crushes that year, and then Carson Schweschinger was my draft crush last year, but he was not a Raider.
Dog.
Yeah, Jacob Rodriguez going to his combine ran a 4.57, 38.5-inch vertical, 10.1 broad jump, 6.9 three cone, and a 4.19 20-yard shuttle. He's so far, I haven't watched any real film of his. The guys that I watch break down film have broken down his film. I just haven't gotten to the episode yet. But watching his game highlights, I want him to be a Raider so bad. So bad. He's got a wicked mustache. He plays linebacker like you should play linebacker. He's able to cover. He covers and he seals the hole. I'm just getting excited talking about Jacob Rodriguez. If he is in the silver and black, if he is in the silver and black, I will have a jersey. I might buy one of his jerseys before Fernando Mendoza. Probably not true, but I will have 2 jerseys, and my wife will be very unhappy with me. If we get Lee Hunter, I'll have 3 jerseys this year. Maybe. I don't know if I can make that happen, but I would love to make that happen. Anyways, let's get to the draft with a trade of Max Crosby. Something that I'm kind of excited to talk about, but also losing Max Crosby is not the greatest thing of all time. This is a 3-round mock draft with a trade to the Cowboys. The Cowboys obviously need an edge rusher, and Max Crosby fits that bill. And this is my
So you would
way.
just get 12.
Yeah, so we just get 12 and then whatever else. It doesn't
You
matter.
would just get Diamond. You would just
Yeah.
get Demon or
Yeah.
Diamond there. I
Yeah.
mean, that's fair.
So I get all of my draft crushes in one pick because Dylan Theinemann's up there. Lee Hunter is a solid nose tackle, and Jacob Rodriguez. If this happened, I would probably cry on the next stream we had. I promise you. I would probably have tears of joy. I'm not even kidding. Like I would be so ecstatic as a Raiders fan having bona fide ballers at 3 levels of the defense. The Raiders haven't had that in my entire life of being a fan. Not since. So let's see. I've been a fan since I was in 3rd grade, but I really started to follow when Derek Carr got drafted in like 2014. Really started to watch in 2015. The Raiders, back then, you didn't have subscriptions. You had cable TV, and I live in Indiana. You don't watch very many Raiders games. So it was a lot of watching the NFL highlights of the Raiders losing. So, but I digress. The Raiders haven't had a playmaker at all 3 levels of the defense at the same time, I don't think, since I've started watching. We've had him in waves. Like Charles Woodson was good, but he was on the way out. Khalil Mack was good, is good, but they didn't have a secondary player. Not that I can think of off the top of my head. We have David Amerson, Sean Smith, TJ Carey, all these guys who were in and out. Solid number 2 corners, players, all that fun stuff, but not ever the number 1 guy. So if the Raiders were able to do this, I would be very, very happy. Happy guy, happy Raiders fan. And I would look very, very forward to the future of the Raiders. That being said, I also
enough
anticipate.
of enough of and you know having enough time and feeling himself bring you back to reality here.
Yeah, this is probably not happening.
I don't think the Cowboys are going to trade another first round for that defensive line.
Yeah,
Just saying.
probably not. But they are one of the teams that are listed as interested. And so are the Eagles. So I could see the Cowboys going in even more just to make sure the Eagles don't get him. That being said, I wouldn't anticipate the Raiders getting all three of these guys. If we got out of the draft with Fernando Mendoza and Jacob Rodriguez, I'd be thrilled. Any other guy, I'd be happy about. One last note for this draft that I may have a opposing opinion to other Raiders fans. This needs to be a defensive draft. Plain and simple. Last year was a big offensive draft. We took Dante Thornton, Jack Besh. We took 2 offensive linemen and Charles Grant. Oh, what's the other guy's name? Charles Grant and Caleb Rogers. Jeez. And neither guy really got an opportunity. So I think another reason why that this offensive line just needs time to grow.
So this team is going to be young and going to be exciting. I'm really looking forward to see what they do. I trust John Spytek. I trust Clint Kubiak more than any other coaching staff. Holy crap, your grandma scared the snot out of me. Anyways, that will do with our first off-season preview for the NFL. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys stuck out with us. And maybe you saw some behind the curtains for the Raiders. I'm not just some crazy Raiders fan yapping about the Raiders. I know what I'm talking about when it comes to them. I don't always expect rainbows and butterflies and sugarcoat everything. I don't do that. That's not who I am. I'm very real with my team. That being, well, besides the off season of last year. All that being said, hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys learned something. That's the ultimate purpose of these episodes, is so you guys learn something about teams that aren't necessarily your own. Let us know what you think down below. Like, subscribe, comment, and we'll see you guys in the next one for the Jets. Peace.